Daddy's Medicine was the name that this guy gave to a shoebox full of narcotics that he used to keep out in the open in his living room, and it led to a complete disaster. His name was Mousa Hawa, and this is his wife, Holly Black. They were a couple who lived together in a town called Coatsville, Pennsylvania, with their 8-year-old son. This is their son, Hunter. He was constantly going to the hospital with injuries, and it was making hospital staff suspicious, so they started flagging his case because they thought they were seeing signs of mistreatment. In July 2023, he went into cardiac arrest. His parents called 911 and the medics rushed out there to try to save him, but what they saw in that house shocked them. Hunter was turning blue and his father, Mr. Hawa, was trying to perform CPR on him. The medics came over and they took over on the CPR. But just looking around, the medics were seeing narcotics paraphernalia everywhere. There were baggies, there were pill bottles, and there was a shoebox that seemed to be their big stash. When he realized that they were seeing this, Mr. Hawa started screaming at them to get out of his house. This is while the medics were still trying to revive their son, Hunter. The medics ignored him and they tried to rush Hunter to the hospital anyway, but he passed on arrival. So the police come and they seize the couple's cell phones and they start looking through them. And they see that the couple had been talking about narcotics to one another earlier in the day. But when the couple had first been talking to the medics and to the police, they'd been telling them that Hunter had eaten a pizza and that he'd gotten tired and that he went to sleep on the recliner, and they came and found him in an unnatural position. They didn't say anything about the narcotics. But when the police whipped out the text messages, they came clean and admitted to what was going on. But they said there was no way that that could be what happened to Hunter because they kept it all in a shoebox and they told Hunter that it was, quote, Daddy's medicine. They said he knew not to touch it because he knew not to use adults' medicine without permission. But that's not what the blood tests on Hunter said because they found fentanyl in his system. And it only got worse a couple days later because Mr. Hawa started a GoFundMe for the couple to try to pay for their bills using Hunter's passing as an excuse to raise money. Now, they didn't raise enough to get a payout, so it's still just sitting there. Police only recently charged the couple because they spent more than a year investigating, but they found even more stuff while they were doing that. It turned out that Hunter's aunt had actually gone and gotten custody of Hunter because she'd seen the bad conditions he was in. And when she was taking care of him, things were getting better. But then Mr. Hawa decided he was going to go back to court and successfully won custody back and banned his aunt from seeing Hunter. And while the police were investigating what happened to Hunter, they actually put Mr. Hawa in jail for a completely different overdose, because it turns out he'd been selling narcotics to a person named Travis Stout, who was a 32-year-old who passed away from what he was sold. And the worst part of that is both Hunter and Tyler Stout were found with baggies next to them that were branded Bad Bunny. That means that Mr. Hawa was selling the same exact stuff that Hunter got into to Tyler Stout after it happened. The couple are both being charged with what happened to Hunter, and they're in jail on a $1 million bond. They'll be in court to answer for all this later this month.